Mob's family must have a history of super powerful psychics, because it looks like Mob's brother Ritsu is starting to finally gain control of his highly destructive psychic powers, so that he can put himself on the same playing field as his brother. But will this turn him into a hero, or a villain? The last two episodes of Mob Psycho 100 were very different when compared to the first couple episodes of the series. In my personal opinion, they feel a little rushed. It feels like we're trying to get to the finale of the main arc at the end of this series right here. That and the fact that these last two episodes don't even really focus on Mob whatsoever. They focus on his brother Ritsu, who, very much like Mob, has a lot of similar personalities, but he seems like he should be the main character of his very own manga or anime series. And that's made very clear from these two episodes right here, as he's desperately trying to learn how to use psychic powers so that he can be just like his brother. And yet, at the same time, he doesn't want to be anything like his brother all at the same time, as he's constantly having to sort of live in the shadow of him, despite the fact that personality-wise, Mob is definitely lacking. Now, I'm not saying that Ritsu's an incredibly engrossing character, but getting to see his dynamic with his brother is what really makes these two episodes very interesting. The first episode in particular, we finally get to learn a little bit more about Ritsu, his backstory, and why he is the way he is. Not only that, but he also seems to be a very popular student with everyone. He also happens to be a part of the student council. He works directly under the student president, who goes by the name of Kamuro. And Kamuro is an interesting character, to say the least. He seems deeply disturbed on a number of different levels. One, he seems to take pleasure in basically being the student president so that he can prey on all of the weak people in his school, in particular all of the bullies, which they're trying to completely wipe out. However, they're going about this in a really underhanded way. That and the fact that Kamuro's lifestyle at home is very different from what he actually has at school, where he has complete control everything. When he goes home, he's constantly compared to his brother. In fact, there's this fantastic scene where you see him going to his house, meeting his mother, and then you get to see his brother is there, just towering over him like a scary giant. And as he makes his way up to his room, you get to see his brother's face reflected in a lot of different objects in the house, almost as if he can't escape the very presence of his brother. It's disturbing, and it's something that I can truly understand, especially because I had an older brother myself who was about 5 years older. He just got out of high school. I was getting into high school at the time, and during that period, everybody compared me to my brother. Constantly. All of the teachers, all of the coaches. But I am not my brother, I'm my own individual, and that is something that Kamuro has to fight with. And there's this great scene where he goes into his room, which for some reason is filled to the brim with large bags of garbage. This has got to be some sort of visual metaphor. I'm not sure what it means, but it's very interesting storytelling, to say the least. So, while all of this shit is going on, you have the character of Ritsu, who's been picked up by this random dude with a Jufro on the side of the road, who's running this psychic institute, where he's trying to find people with cool psychic abilities so that he can learn the secret of becoming a true psychic. Now, Ritsu, of course, doesn't really have any crazy abilities yet. In fact, they try to test him with this spoon test, which seems to be what they do for most of the psychics, but a lot of these guys have like special abilities like pyrokinesis and being able to talk to each other telepathically. The thing is, they're all very unremarkable in how they pull that off, and their designs are just hilarious. There's these pair of twins. One of them has a round head, one of them has a block head. There's this dude with this overly long pompadour. They're just all really funny looking characters, and they just look like a bunch of chumps. But Ritsu is starting to develop his super psychic powers to the point where at the very end of the first episode that I'm reviewing here, he actually takes a spoon, looks at it, throws it down, is finished with the institute, and then just seconds later, the spoon bends and contorts and twists in a really destructive way, showing that he seems to have some sort of delay with his psychic abilities, that or the fact that they are finally starting to manifest. And let's not forget the disturbing scene at the very end of that episode, where you have Ritsu teaming up with the student council president, Kamuro, and they're going to get rid of all of the delinquents and the bullies in the school, and the way that they're going to do that is that they're going to plant a lot of evidence on them to get them in trouble and make them seem like delinquents and perverts to everyone. Case in point, Onigawara, that one pompadour-wearing bully that we saw in the last couple of episodes, who was picking a fight with all of the other students from the other schools. Now, what they do is they take the recording class's recorders and they break them into pieces, and they put all of them in Onigawara's desk and into his bag, and they reveal that he was the one who actually stole them, even though he didn't, and basically they just get into the head of all of the students, they turn them all against Onigawara, and it leads to this fantastic scene where you just get to see everybody just losing complete faith in this character. In fact, there's a lot of humor here as well. How all of these people are so quick to turn into sheep. Not to mention, one of them happens to be one of the longtime close friends of Onigawara, who completely just dismisses him and calls him a pervert. And I love the imagery of the lettering smacking Onigawara and having him slide across the floor. Even with his threats, even with him claiming that he's going to beat up Kamuro, it doesn't matter. With him there rallying all of the students against him, they completely destroy any credibility that Onigawara had. It's a sad scene, and it shows that Ritsu is not afraid to go into some dark territory, even allying himself with some not-so-credible people. The second episode is where things really start to pop off a little bit more. Not only do we have a mysterious hoodied villain, but we finally get to see that Ritsu is starting to utilize his psychic abilities, thanks in part to the return of Dimple. Yes, the little fart gas has returned, and guess what? I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. He's effectively the mascot of the series at this point. And just like with Mob, it looks like Dimple wants nothing more to do than to take over someone's body, and he wants to do that with Ritsu, because when he actually does possess him, he actually is able to control all of his psychic abilities, but he still doesn't have full control of his body. But what this means is that Ritsu is able to utilize his psychic abilities to beat up bullies and look like a badass, and he somewhat goes mad with power in this episode right here. Not only do we get to see the end of Kamuro's story, who just completely ends super depressingly, but we get to see that Ritsu even gets to meet Teruki of all people. And Teruki has a hilarious brand new haircut. It's actually not a haircut, it's a toupee, a really bad one. It's just a big, tall, like, beehive looking wig. He looks like freaking blonde Marge Simpson. It's hilarious. If Frank Lloyd Wright actually designed wigs, this is what it would be. So Ritsu is using his brand new powers to take out all of his opponents from the various schools in the city, and they all have crazy designs and funny names, all of which are based around food depending on what school that they go to. And there's a scene at the end of the episode after Kamuro has just been beaten relentlessly by all of these guys. Ritsu gets ambushed by all of them in this alley, and he just absolutely destroys them with his psychic powers, in a scene which is frankly just intense and awesome. In fact, I actually decided to look at the Mob Psycho 100 manga series to sort of compare these two scenes together, because I'm just curious to see like how this series got its start. And I have to say that the anime version of Mob Psycho 100 is just completely doing such a better job than the manga version. Now, the manga version is very simple, but then again, a lot of that has to do with the art style and the character designs. Everyone looks very, very simple, and the backgrounds aren't very intricate. Hell, even the action scenes really even aren't all that crazy. The anime version, on the other hand, just has so much life behind it, so much impact, and some amazing characters behind it. And the voice acting just really amplifies this one as well. You know, not even just from the main characters. Like, I am in love with the Body Improvement Club characters. These guys are freaking great. I've said it many times in the past that these are characters that you should hate and you're supposed to not like, but they're like the nicest guys in the entire world, and you want to see more from them. Not to mention all of the crazy villains and different gangs from various schools in this episode just look so crazy, and watching Ritsu just completely destroy them is fantastic. The problem is his brother Mob is right there, and he's going to confront him about this, and there's also this mysterious hoodie-wearing villain who's hanging out up top. So what's the rundown on both of these episodes of Mob Psycho 100? These were both really good, and yet they also felt kind of rushed all at the same time. But there's still so many little moments that I didn't even get to talk about. Like, in the first episode, there's this one scene where Mob and Tomei actually go on a date. And this is where we're formally introduced to that hoodie villain for the very first time, and Tomei's hilarious. Just such a fantastic character. Even though she says date, it's not really a date at all, and she has no problems with beating the ever-living shit out of Mob when it's required. But the true star of both of these episodes indeed is going to be Ritsu, as we finally start to learn a little bit more about his past and his weird complex that he has with his brother and his family. the moments with him and Kamuro are also really strong because they show what he could eventually become, but I honestly don't see that happening, you know? If this were any other anime or manga, Ritsu would probably end up turning into the villain of the series. I see him as more of an anti-hero, more of a Sasuke-esque character, if you know what I mean by that. But I really can't wait to see more of his growth and what this hoodie villain wants to do with him. Maybe he's actually going after Mob the entire time. I mean, this could very well be our very first opponent who gives Mob some trouble. I mean, I really cannot wait to see Mob go crazy. Maybe we'll even get a battle between the two brothers themselves, which I think would be pretty damn awesome. It would be a great way to demonstrate how strong Ritsu is in comparison to his brother, although I still have a feeling that Ritsu has a lot to learn, because even Teruki made him look like a little bitch in a couple of these episodes, but that's also because Teruki has had a lot of practice with his psychic powers. What I will say is, both of these episodes were pretty damn fantastic, despite the fact that they did feel a little rushed at times, but I'm still really digging this show. It's just got so many amazing funny moments, action moments, and some really enduring characters, which are just all great. It's really easy to choose a favorite one, and not any of them are unappealing at all. Like, they're all really interesting, and I want to learn about their backstories, their personalities, their quirks, and how they're all going to tie into this overall story, which looks like it's about to go into overdrive. So, great episode on the technical side of things, animation, artwork. This one looks pretty damn awesome, so check it out, Mob Psycho 100 fans. You're definitely going to see something you like. But before you guys leave, I want to hear your thoughts about both of these episodes. Make sure to tell me in the comments section below, what do you think of the character of Ritsu? Did you want Mob to take the spotlight again? What do you think of Ritsu's development? Is he going to turn into a villain, an anti-hero? And how does this all tie into this mysterious hoodied villain? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Mob Psycho 100 anime series? Please tell me in the comment section below. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. One of the easiest ways to support Super Kami Guru 9000 is to take a split second just to hit that like button. It's so freaking easy, and it allows a lot of people to see our videos en masse. You could also subscribe to the channel, which would be freaking great, because that way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. Make sure to also check us out on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.